This is Note-Taking Guide 4.8 for Math 1. Today we're going to learn about simple interest and compound interest. So I actually like simple interest and compound interest because I really like to just the mathematical part of just substituting into formulas. So we have this formula here for simple interest. It says I equals PRT. I is the interest earned. P is the principal. Principal is actually the starting amount. So whatever amount you start with is going to be called the principal. R is the interest rate. We need to make sure though that if it's like 4% for the interest rate, we write that as a decimal point number. If you remember on decimal point numbers, you have to move the decimal point 2 places. So this would be really 0.04 for 4%. And then T is for time in years. And we're just going to substitute into those formulas. The other formula we're going to use today is compound interest. So this one is a little bit more complicated because what this means is on that last formula, they paid the interest one time per year. On this formula, the interest is compounded, so it means that they pay you more than one time a year. So like when they pay you at the end of the first month, then they're actually add that into your value and they'll pay interest to you the second month on your initial principal amount plus the interest you earned the first month. And then the third month, they would pay you on that principal amount plus the interest you earned the first month plus the interest you earned the second month. So that interest is compounding as we go throughout time. So again, this is going to be the amount that we end up with. This P value here is still principal. R is still the interest rate as a decimal point number. T is still time. The only thing that's different on this formula is the N. And N is the number of times per year that interest is compounded. So say for instance it's compounded quarterly, which is a common way for that to happen. Well, that's 4 times per year. So we would put the number 4 in for N. So these are the two formulas that we're going to use today to do simple interest and compound interest. So here's our first problem. It says calculate the simple interest. I love that it says exactly what formula to use. Then find the total amount owed. So the simple interest formula was given to us on that first page. It was I equals PRT. And we're just going to substitute into that formula. P is our $1,200 that we start out with. It's called our principal. Our rate is 3%, but if you remember, we got to write that as a decimal point number. So 3% gets written as 0.03. And then time is always done in years. So how many years is 36 months? We'll take that 36 and divide it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year, and we get 3 for the number of years that our interest is compounded. So now we're just going to grab our calculator. We're going to multiply that out. That's going to be equal to the amount of interest. So 1,200 times 0.03 times 3. And the amount of interest is $108. So if I started out owing $1,200 and I had to pay that interest, then I would actually end up paying $1,308 total, because the interest plus the principal is the total amount I would pay. All right, next problem. Again, a simple interest problem. Again, it told us it was simple interest. It says find the simple interest and find the total amount owed. So again, my formula is I equals PRT. We're going to substitute in. Here's my principal. My rate is 5%, but I write that as a decimal point number, so 0.05, and then times the number of years, which is 5. So then just take a second and plug that in on your calculator. That will give you your total interest. Your total interest is $2,262.5. So that gives me my interest. It then asks me to find my total amount owed. Well, the total amount owed would be the $9,050 plus the $2,262.50. So just plug that in your calculator real fast. And when you do that, the total amount owed is $11,312.50. Sorry, I couldn't read my calculator very well. So that's the total amount that's owed. All right, this next one says, write a compound interest function. So we know we're using the compound interest formula to model the given solution, then calculate the balance after the number of years. So this time we're going to use that other formula, that amount equals principal times 1 plus the rate over a number of times per year that the interest is paid, and then raised to the NT power. So here's my principal. $23,500 was invested at a rate of 3.5%. Change that decimal point 2 places, so 0.035 is the number that goes in as the interest rate. And it says compounded annually. That's 1 time per year. Annually is once per year for 7 years. So we're just going to write that out. The principal is $23,500. I put one too many zeros on there. Then 1 plus the interest rate over the number of times per year the interest is paid, which is once, and then to the n power, which is 1, times the number of years, which is 7. So you can put this in your calculator that exact way. The only thing that I would do is, instead of writing this on my calculator, I would just multiply that out, which is 7, and I would just put 7 in my calculator right there instead. So I'm going to go 23,500. Open my parentheses, do 1 plus, put my fraction in, 0.035 on the top of the fraction, 1 on the bottom of my fraction, close my parentheses, put my power up there as 7, and then just hit enter. So when I do that, I get 29,898.56 if I round. Questions on how I did that? Okay, thank you. All right, next problem. Again, we're writing a compound interest function, so we're filling out the compound interest formula, and then we're going to figure out the balance after the given number of years. So the formula, again, if you remember, is A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. And we just have to plug our information in there. So it says $500 is invested, so that's our principal, at a rate of 1%, which is going to be 0.01 for our R. Compounded monthly, that's 12 times per year because there's 12 months in a year for 20 years. So I'm going to go A equals $500 times 1 plus the interest rate, which is 0.01, over a number of times per year, which is 12. And then up here as my power is going to be 12 times 20. And if I punch it in my calculator the exact way that I just did it here, with the parentheses up in the power and the parentheses around the other part, then it will work out just fine. So I can do 500, open my parentheses, 1 plus, hit your fraction key, put 0.01 on top and 12 on the bottom, close your parentheses, then put up your power, and in parentheses on your power do 12 times 20, close your parentheses on your power, and hit enter. And the amount that you end up with is $610.65. Thanks for watching, you guys. Good luck on your homework.